How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming and hanging out. You're like the first person in this space, actually. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Joe, I feel so special. Thank you so much.
Before we jump in, I want to talk to the people right quick and just let them know. So if you're watching this episode or you're listening, you probably are like, what are you doing? Because this isn't season 2. Well, I wanted to do some bonus episodes because we're wrapping up 2024, going into the new year. And a lot of you guys who listen, I've been looking at the analytics, are from Fort Smith or in the surrounding areas, all the way over to Russellville, and then quite a few in Northwest Arkansas. So that being said, I wanted to talk about some of the cool things, some of the cool content projects that I'm working on with a couple of different people that I'm working on them with over the next year, so 2025. And Emily, they're the biggest one right now. Yeah.
Stop.
We're doing a lot.
We are. We really, really are. But no, I'm so happy to be here. And I mean, I'm like one of your biggest fans.
Oh, thank you.
If not like your biggest professional fan.
There are some people fighting against you about that in the comments right now, probably.
Oh, well, come bite me. In the words of Cody Favorite, come bite me.
Oh my gosh, Cody. Okay, so let's start off with you. Where are you from? Where are you born at? Where were you before you came to Arkansas? Because obviously I know you just came to Arkansas, but people don't know. We'll catch them up.
Yeah, okay. So I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, actually.
Okay.
And moved to Memphis when I was around 2.5 years old and grew up in Memphis. Spent most of my life there, and then moved to Mississippi for college. And while I was in college, my family actually moved to North Mississippi from Memphis. So my brother and sister are much younger than, not much younger, but like younger than I am. So that they consider their childhood home to be in North Mississippi, but mine was in Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I consider myself a Memphis gal.
Yeah. Well, before I go too far, I did forget. Can you please explain what Discover Fort Smith is and your title currently there?
Yeah, sure. So my current title is Content Manager at Discover Fort Smith. We are the Fort Smith Convention and Visitors Bureau. So basically what we do is we are a destination marketing organization. So we market our city as a place for people to come, whether that's for leisure tourism, whether that's to host a conference, a convention, or a meeting, whether it's for a sports event. That's what we do. We just show all that Fort Smith has to offer, and we have a sales team that's dedicated to going out and getting those meetings and conventions and sports events, and highlighting what we have to offer in that regard. And that's what we do. We just promote Fort Smith, and we want people to come here and enjoy their time here.
Okay, so Thank you for that. Diving back kind of into your past, that gives us a little bit more kind of information to know. The next question I have for you is, what did you go to school for? Because you said you went to school after you went to those places. So what was that for?
Yeah, okay. I was not one of those people that knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Okay. And I kind of dislike that question, right? Because we can always reinvent ourselves and choose a different path, throughout our lives, not just when we turn 18 or once we graduate college or whatever. So I never knew really what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be. And I felt this mounting anxiety that I think a lot of kids in high school feel going into college of like, oh snap, I got to figure this out. Like, what do I want to do with my life? And so I was undecided for a little while. I started out as an interior design major.
Oh, wow.
Then I switched to music and did vocal performance and piano.
Oh, really? Okay, I wanted to joke with you because you said Nashville, and I was like, oh, so you're an artist or something, right?
Oh, no, definitely not. So quickly switched from that. I'm not competitive enough, Joe.
Okay.
Just not like, I don't know. And I just didn't feel, it just wasn't the right fit for me.
Yeah.
So after that, I was undecided for a little bit and then landed on communications with an emphasis in theater and a minor in French language.
So you're a theater kid?
I'm a theater kid. I'm a huge theater nerd.
Okay, so you've been like Wicked. What do you think?
Haven't seen the movie yet. But, I know. Love the show.
Okay.
Staple show to me.
Okay.
It's been, 20 years?
Dude, I don't know anything about Wicked.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah. I just know that it's a theater kid. Like if you're a theater kid, you know Wicked. That's pretty much all.
Yeah.
I know. Or if you're just a human, apparently, you know Wicked.
So are you saying you're a robot, Joe?
Yeah. Apparently,
I do. I love Wicked. I've seen the show several times. I tear up like every time Elphaba goes up.
Hey, no spoilers.
Okay, sorry, sorry, my bad.
I gotta go watch it.
I don't think I spoiled anything.
No, you're good. Okay.
But yeah, huge theater kid. Did theater all through high school. Did a ton in college. And then, as with high school, come senior year, I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And there's just so much pressure to this, what am I going to do when I graduate? And I had taken French, was a French minor, and took it in high school, took it all through college. And I remembered this program that my French teacher, I think it was my junior year, just mentioned in class. It was an exchange program through the embassy, the U.S. Embassy and the French Embassy. And I think at the time they selected, a certain number of postgraduates who just graduated to come over and be assistants in French public schools as English teachers. And for some reason, I just kept thinking about that. I'd never been out of the country. My family could not travel. Growing up, we were not in that position. And so finally I just thought, okay, there's a reason that this keeps coming up. There's a reason that I keep thinking about this moment from a year or year and a half ago. So I applied. And I was like, this is a long shot. They only choose like a certain number and all this stuff. And then the day that I graduate, my graduation day, I went to check my mailbox for the last time. And I got the letter that I had been accepted into this program, this school year-long program.
Wow.
And I was like, thank God, I had no idea what I was going to do. And so went back home and got a job at a hospital scanning in vendor contracts.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
fun.
That's one word I would not use to describe it. But no, the people I worked with were great. And so it allowed me to save up some money. And so I went to France and, lived there, worked with grades 5 through what they call Lycée Pro, which is like the professional school. So I had some students who were, 19 years old that I was working with.
Wow.
And totally changed my life. I had never experienced another culture. I had never experienced people living differently from me and my family. And that just was a huge, huge game changer for me.
Yeah. For a whole year? No?
Almost. Not quite a full year, but for a school year, for sure I was there. Yeah.
And did you come back in between?
I did not come home at all.
Wow.
I couldn't afford to. I mean, we made a minimal salary. It was like almost like an internship salary. So I just thought, I've never traveled before. I may never again in my life have this opportunity to be in Europe and have all of these countries.
Yes.
Right here with a train system, and these flights that I could just hop over to London. So I just threw everything into trying to travel. And because we were on a school calendar, the French school system, man, they know how to vacay. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about this.
Yeah.
But for people who haven't, can you explain it?
Yeah. So they just have a different school calendar than we do. And they had, at the time, I can't speak for it currently, I think it's the same or similar. But we had, a couple weeks in February, a couple weeks in April. We had a full summer, and then didn't come back until September. Then we had an October break, then a Christmas break. So there was vacation much more spread through the year.
Yes.
And it was for longer periods of time. So a lot of families got to spend time together, got to travel together. It's, a lot of my friends over there were like, oh, we don't live to work, we work to live. You guys over in the US, you guys live to work.
Yeah.
We don't get it, And so that was a totally different mentality for me too, was like, whoa, there's a different way. Like I don't have to, hustle culture now is what they call it. But this was like 2005, right? We didn't really call it that then, but learning to vacation and to just take time, that it's okay to not be productive. It's okay to enjoy time off.
Yeah.
And then I came back to the U.S. and totally forgot that.
Yeah, I was about to say, okay, I know that you went to go teach after that. So it was like, oh my gosh, travel and tourism is amazing. Pause. And now I'm going to go teach. And now you're back to it.
Well, it's so wild.
For a profession, at least. I mean, yeah.
Okay. So you said I came back and taught. That's actually not true.
Okay.
I know. I've taken a very windy path, Joe.
Did you work at a coffee shop somewhere in between?
I didn't. I didn't. Well, I mean, yes, I did, but I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. But not in the way that you'd think. Okay. So I came back from France, and I had huge culture shock coming back, more so than when I went there. Because when I went there, I was like, this is an adventure. I'm going to discover everything. And it was exciting. And then I moved back. And I'd had this experience that changed me forever. And I'd met these wonderful, beautiful people with different perspectives that kind of helped me form my own identity away from my family, away from my country, away from and helped me develop myself. Who am I? Just as me, outside of everything else. And I came back and was like, well, now what do I do? I'm back. I'm living with my parents.
Yeah.
I'd lived, abroad by myself or with a roommate for a little while. So I had a bunch of independence. And so it felt in a way like a regression. And I'd always said, my mom was a teacher, still is. Shout out to Mom. But I'd always said, I will never be a teacher. Never say never.
Yeah.
I had always said, I will never be a teacher, just because I saw how much she worked.
Yeah.
And how stressful it could be. Not that she didn't love her job, and she's amazing at it. I mean, amazing. So came back, went back to the hospital.
Okay.
Went back to the hospital, but because of the people I'd met scanning contracts, I got a different job as a financial advisor there. And all through high school, I babysat kids who were this bank president's kids. And, because I was trying to earn extra money, so I babysat every minute I could, as soon as I could in high school. And so I'd had experience working at a bank from ages 16 to 20, 21. So I did that through college on holidays and summers and things like that. And had no idea the opportunity that man, the bank president, was giving me at the time in learning to be professional and learning to work in a professional environment at a very young age. And it's really that experience that helped me understand, professionalism and working in an environment, meeting people, how to interact with people at a workplace and things like that. And so I'd had that experience in finance. So I was able to get this job through my hospital, people that I met through working with contracts, into this financial advisor job. And it was the hardest job I had ever done in my life.
Okay. And you're 21 at this point?
How old was I? I came home in 2006, so I was 23.
Okay.
Yep. Fresh out of college, little bitty baby out of the womb, you know. And so I started doing this. I learned a ton about health insurance, learned a ton about our health care system. So half my job was collecting insurance deductibles.
Okay.
And co-pays and things like that. And the other half of my job was working with patients who didn't have insurance. And there was a charity program. So they'd fill out an application and I would do calculations and see if we would be able to discount their hospital bill or completely write it off. So that's what I did. And the charity care side of it, I really enjoyed parts of that. But the collections side of it just wore me down every day. It was awful, to go and talk with patients who were ill and to have to ask them like, okay, well, can you pay anything towards your deductible today? And then to hear like, well, no, I can't. I was just diagnosed with cancer. Or, no, I don't even know why I'm here. I just know I'm in pain. Like, you're asking for money.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's still how things are done. I mean, but at that time, that was my job. And I thought, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I just can't. And again, that little whisper of like teaching, be a teacher. And I was like, no, never. So I resisted for a while. And I thought, well, what am I going to do if I want to teach? I've got a bachelor's in communications with a theater emphasis. I mean, I have no teaching license. I have no education background.
Yes.
And so through a friend of my mom's, I learned about alternative routes to teacher licensure in the state of Mississippi.
Okay.
And started a master's program. That was an alternative route, and was able to get a job teaching while I was earning my master's degree. And that's that. That's how I got into teaching. I just, I could not resist any longer. And I was training a lady at the hospital and was really working with her on how to admit patients and how to do the insurance and all that stuff. And she looked at me and she was like, you're a really good teacher. You should be a teacher. and that was it. Like, that was what I needed to be like, okay, I'm a teacher. And so went back to school, and that was tough because I bought a house as a single young woman. I think at that time it was 2008. Yeah. So I was 25. I bought a house, was, got a new job as a teacher, getting my master's, tutoring after school, stayed on at the hospital on the weekends, on Saturdays, working their switchboard for extra money. And then on the side, I started teaching French online. That's where the working in coffee shops comes into play.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes. So I did work a lot in coffee shops.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I never made a single cup of coffee.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. So that's the kind of windy route that I took to teaching. And then,
so you taught for how many years?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I taught in North Mississippi from 2008 to 2013.
Wow.
And then from 2013 to 2021, I was in Austin.
Yeah,
teaching.
I thought the reason why I said, wow, I thought you were in Austin the whole time you were teaching.
No, not the whole time.
Okay, so
not the whole time.
How'd you get over Austin?
That's also a funny story.
Okay.
So I told you, like, I bought a house, I got my master's, like I finished up my master's program. And so I started out teaching 2nd through 5th grade gifted ed and kindergarten, 5th and 6th grade computer. So I was teaching kids tech, basically. And the tech director really liked what I was doing. And it was super fun. I mean, we had a great time. And he approached me about being a tech integrator. And so I was like, heck yeah, that sounds awesome. Learning about all the new tech, like how to teach with it. And so I actually started working more with teachers after about, 3 or 4 years of teaching. I became a tech integrator and got super into technology, was still teaching French on the side. Some friends of mine moved to Austin, came to visit. I promise there's like a common thread through all this.
No, you're good.
Like some friends of mine moved to Austin. I came down to visit them. And when I came back, I was like, well, that was cool, And I was working on my French stuff. And for some reason, I went to the Alliance Française website. I was looking up something. And right on the homepage, there was a link to this school in Austin that taught French. And I was like, what? there's like a French school in Austin. This is crazy. I was just in Austin and I love French.
Yeah.
And so I just clicked on it out of interest and curiosity and landed on this website and read about this school and was like, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome. And at the time it was October 2013. I was in the middle of a school year, still had my contract for the rest of the year, but I was like, I'm just gonna, they're not gonna have any openings. It's October. That's not how teaching works.
Yeah.
the openings come like in the spring but I looked and there was one opening for a preschool teacher. And it was actually part-time covering a maternity leave. And I was like, oh, well, it's not for me, but I'm going to apply anyway because why not, right? And, I will always say it never hurts to go for something, even if you don't think it's the right thing, because you never know where something's going to lead ever.
Yeah.
And so I heard back and I got an interview. And I was like, oh, well, I'm in the middle of the school year. It's October. Like, I'd have to break my contract. Like, but I'm going to do the interview anyway.
Yeah.
So I interviewed with the then principal and really enjoyed the interview. And interviewed with the head of school. Really enjoyed the interview. And I thought, okay, this is getting serious. Like, I've had 2 interviews, and I need to really decide, like, if they offer me the job, first of all, how much money do I need? It's part-time. And do I really want to break my contract and move to a new city?
Yeah.
I have a house. I have friends here, So I calculated everything out, and I had the number I needed to be offered, and they offered me like $50 more for the year. Like,
that's awesome.
Over that number that I needed. And I was like, oh, okay. I think I'm going to do it.
That's awesome.
I think I'm going to do it. So I did it. I just did it. And I rented my house out for a little bit. I sold it, in January of that year, 2014. And I just kind of packed my little weenie dog up at the time and moved to Austin. And I taught preschool, which is an age group that I'd never ever taught before. I taught, kinder through 6th in some form. And then I'd been working with teachers doing tech integration and stuff. And then I started working with like 3 and 4-year-olds. And so started having conversations about I really wanted to be full-time the next year. Got hired on full-time after that first year and continued teaching preschool for a couple years, then moved up to 2nd grade. And then we got a new head of school that year. And after that, I was hired as one of the 2 school principals. So I was doing preschool through 8th grade, working with teachers who taught English and Spanish at the school, and working with 4th through 8th grade families as like the dean of academics, kind of. So, yeah.
Wow.
I did that till 2021.
Yeah. And did you like the kids or?
Yeah.
Okay. More than you thought you would, or?
Oh no, like I've always loved kids. Like I've always enjoyed working with them. I love how they think so differently than adults. I love their playfulness. They're a lot of fun. They keep you young, I think.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of joy there. Not saying it's not hard, because it's definitely hard, especially if you've got larger class sizes, or, a lot of different kids with a lot of different needs, and you're constantly feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can meet all of these needs,
Yeah.
But had a wonderful school, relatively small class sizes, got to be around a ton of international people from just, all over the world, and continue just learning from them, because we're all trained differently when it comes to teaching. I mean, there's some things that are consistent, right? Like best practices, et cetera. But we all were trained differently. We all had different ideas, different thoughts about how things should be done. And it just led to so many beautiful conversations and learning moments and like openness to doing things differently than what I thought. And then saying like, oh man, snap, you were right. That worked out so much better. But the kids, the teachers, the families, I consider myself just extremely, extremely lucky to have been, in that environment for as long as I was.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just, I think honestly, people ask, do you ever think you'll go back to teaching? And I'll never say never,
Yeah.
because I learned that lesson. But, one of the reasons I think it would be hard is because I had such a great experience at that school and I loved it.
Yeah.
Like genuinely loved it so much.
Yeah.
And the community was so special and unique. I don't know that I could ever find anywhere that would live up to that experience. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you danced around the border of Arkansas for a while, basically. You were in Tennessee, you went to Texas.
Yeah. It was inevitable. Like
you loved where you were.
Yeah.
So why'd you move?
Well.
Or how'd you move?
How did I move? Oh, gosh. Okay.
Finally make it into Arkansas.
Well, so I made a really, really tough decision to leave K-12 in 2021 after COVID. And it was so hard because I did love that school and love those teachers. Like my team through COVID came together and we did things that have never been done in education. Some of them I hope never have to be done ever again, but sorry.
Yeah.
I have just a ton of pride for that team of teachers and how everybody just came together for the sake of kids who needed to be in school.
Yeah.
And made it happen. Made it happen. And, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. There were very hard moments there. But yeah, so during that time, a lot of people, when they think of private schools or nonprofit schools, they think there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sometimes that's the case, but a lot of times it's not, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times a school is run on tuition, and that tuition oftentimes doesn't make up the budget. You have to fundraise on top of that, right? So our school suffered a bit, during COVID, and that of course affected staffing. And the school, as a school, you're always trying to do what's best for the kids. So the money is going to go towards teachers' salaries. The money is going to go towards necessary supplies for the kids, et cetera, right? And so our staff kind of dwindled a little bit. And with that came added responsibility, added workload. And I can't say that I burnt out because of COVID. I can't say that I burnt out because my workload was just so crazy. I had been working at a high level for several years already. So some nights I was up at school until, 8:00, even before I was principal. And in hindsight, that was my responsibility. Like I had some responsibility in my own burnout,
Yes.
And that has been something I've had to come to terms with and work through and say for myself, why did I feel the need to work at that level? Teaching does require, I've worked in a couple different fields now, and teaching definitely requires more time
Yes.
outside of work than any other job I've had.
Yeah.
It is stressful. You're talking about children, you know, these are people's most precious family members, you know, there's nothing more precious to you than your child, right?
Yeah.
And so there's an added level of responsibility, I think, with that. So I, like, long story short, over time, I burn out. And it was starting to affect my health. And I thought, you know, do I want to, at the time I was like 36, 37, I thought, do I want to have a relationship? Do I want to be married? Like, do I want to have a family? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I think COVID really forced me to reflect on that. I think it did for a lot of people. I think it caused a lot of people to sit back and think, okay, what's important to me here? And how do I need to adjust my life accordingly? So I thought, all right, I got to pull back. And I have, you know, if I want to get married and have a family and all these things, then I'm going to have to intentionally make time for that and give a little on the work side.
Yeah.
You know? And so with that realization, the realization that I was burnt out,
you quit and you hit up Bumble.
kind of, but the other way around. Like, I did get online on dating. Yes and no. No, but I actually met my husband while I was still a school principal, and yeah, he was with me when I made that decision. I just came home one day and I cried, and I was like, would you think I'm losing my mind if I left my job? And he was like, I think you need to do what you need to do and we'll figure it out, you know? And that decision was so gut-wrenching for me. And then having to tell my team, who had worked so hard and who had trusted me through a lot of things. I mean, a lot of different scenarios, not just COVID, was like, oof, that's the hardest thing I've had to do as a professional. But anyway, met my husband, decided to leave teaching, started working for a nonprofit education association. I was terrified to leave education. Terrified, because I had spent so much time. You know, I had done additional certifications. I had gotten my master's. I had developed kind of this knowledge base, and I put so much work into it that I was like, what the heck else am I going to do? What am I going to do? So was terrified to leave, but found a job that was education adjacent.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah. Not far off.
Yeah. So it was a nonprofit association that provided professional development for teachers. But it was a marketing role that I got. So I was doing a lot of copywriting. I was managing, editing, strategic planning for their blog, doing a lot of email.
Is this the first time in your life up to that point that you were that heavy into marketing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to do... okay. Officially, yes.
Okay.
But at school, I mean, we didn't have anybody doing marketing at the time. So, we had one person who was doing kind of a newsletter, but, you know, I had to make brochures, I had to make materials, I had to send emails, you know, things like that. So I did have to do marketing for school in Austin, but not in any kind of official capacity or anything. So yeah, that was my first branch out into my original major, communications.
Okay.
And so, yeah, started doing that. And my husband and I, you know, we were trying to buy a house in 2022. We started looking for houses in Austin.
Funny. I was looking for houses in Austin around then.
Oh, were you really?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was in. No, it was 21.
Okay.
Yes, because we were considering moving down for a marketing job as well.
What?
Yeah.
We could have met in Austin.
I know.
That's crazy.
Austin's so big though. But yeah,
It's
maybe.
so big.
Maybe. Yeah.
Probably not, but
Yeah.
I'd like to think we would.
Yeah.
I'd like to think we would have. But yeah, so we tried. We got a great realtor and realized like super fast that this was not going to happen for us. People were just throwing cash at houses no appraisal, no inspection, nothing. And we were like, we can't afford to do that. So then we started to seriously think about, okay, well, what's important to us? What do we want? And is Austin the place that we want to be for the next however long? And we took out a map and we were like, okay, well, Arkansas is right in the middle of our families. His is in Dallas, mine's in Tennessee. So why not consider Arkansas? So we started looking into it and what's here and home prices and all that. And we decided, what the heck, let's just look at some houses. So we did. And he was remote and my job let me go remote. Thankfully, they were so kind to let me do that at the time. And we did it. We just did it.
You chose Fort Smith out of all places. Why didn't you go all the way up to Northwest Arkansas?
Okay, so great question. A lot of people ask that. And we did look at some places, not physically, but like online. We looked a lot. And we talked with our realtor about, our price point and what we were looking for. And for our price point, we wanted a little bit of land.
Okay.
We were not going to find that in Northwest Arkansas. We liked it up there. We've been to Bentonville. We've been to Fayetteville, like cool places. Bentonville's like a little Austin kind of now,
Yeah.
But yeah, we thought, man, it's going to be just as hard for us there as it was in Austin, or almost as hard. So our realtor just really suggested this area. And she was like, look, everybody, like Bentonville, that whole Northwest Arkansas area is booming. It's coming. Like, basically, it's coming this way. And so we just really trusted her expertise and her knowledge of the area. She grew up here. And my husband came once or twice by himself. I came once by myself. And then we were able to come together. And we looked at this house. We were like, this is it. My husband's like, I don't think I need to see anything else. I was like, I don't think I need to see anything else either.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
We just did it. So we don't actually live in Fort Smith proper. We live outside of Fort Smith in Greenwood.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
that's like the long version of the answer to your question.
No, it's good. No, I'm just kind of reflecting on back on some of the things you talked about. It really comes down to like it sounds like really 3 big reflection points overall. Like you had your first reflection when you got back from overseas and you were like, who am I? What do I need to do in my life?
Yeah.
And then you got the teaching and it was another one, right? Once you got to where you were like, okay, I don't want to teach anymore. But what does that mean? Who does that make me now? And then last was, okay, we can't afford to live in Austin anymore, or at least raise our family. So what does that mean for us?
Yeah.
What family are we going to be now?
Yeah.
And it's just like asking those hard questions, which I think a lot of people do think about that as like regression. But it's not. It's just like a part of life. You know, my wife's from here. She did not want to come back here.
Yeah.
Because she was like, people are going to see this as like a failure, moving back to my hometown. I'm like, well, I don't care what people think. I don't that much. And then the other thing too is like, when we have those things, they're like, I feel like this is a setback. One of the things that I think about a lot now, being a person who does struggle with like pride and envy a lot, is like, who are you to think you're so important that people are keeping their eye on you that much to be like, oh, she failed. Look where she's at now, and look where she was, or look at where he is now. And I had to really help myself to understand that people aren't paying that much attention to me.
They're thinking about themselves in the same way we're thinking about ourselves, right? So everybody's got the same fears and the same thoughts and the same worries. And
I mean, you do have trolls which are trolls, and so they're just going to be mean just to be mean, but it doesn't really have to do really anything with you and what you're doing. Okay, so you come back here, and then you're working a remote job, but then obviously we know you get the job with Discover Fort Smith.
Yeah.
Fairly, I mean, you said you were, it couldn't have been not too long after that, right?
Well, I worked from home for a year and a half.
Okay.
So we've been here almost 2 years.
Wow. Okay. For some reason, I thought you moved here for the job, Discover.
No, I didn't. My husband works from home. I was there for a year and a half with the same job that I had in Austin for the nonprofit. And I just started reflecting on, the job and how I felt about what I was doing. And I kind of got a little bored, because I thought, man, what do I want to do? Like, really, what do I want to do? What do I want to learn?
So you start reflecting again.
Yeah. What do I want to learn? Because I think it's so true that sometimes we don't have the privilege to make a change in our life, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes we're not in a position where that can happen. And I've definitely been in those positions where this is what I'm doing for right now. And I need to figure out how to be content in that. But then there's also times when we do have the opportunity to make a change. We do have some control over how we want things to go a little bit, And so I thought, okay, again, like, what do I want to do? And I just started kind of casually looking. I had not made any decisions to leave the job that I had because I loved some of my coworkers. They were amazing. And I liked the mission, overall, like I enjoyed what I did. But really what, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say, is I saw this job posting for content manager for the Fort Smith Convention and Visitors Bureau. And first of all, I was like, what the heck is a Convention and Visitors Bureau?
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I just read the description for the job and I was like, oh man, this sounds so awesome. So again, like out of curiosity, out of interest, just clicked, just read, just looked into it, and applied for the job. And here we are.
That's crazy.
Had a couple interviews, and you got the job offer and was like so excited about it. Had, a phone conversation with Ashley Backert, my direct boss, executive director, really liked her. I told her, I was like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm interviewing you here because I asked so many questions about, her and her leadership style and how she encourages her staff and what she needs as a leader and things like that. And just really enjoyed her answers and have a lot of respect for her as a person and did not know her prior, but have just really enjoyed getting to know her in this role. And the rest is history. Here we are.
Yeah. So you started as content manager, but even till now, that's changed a little bit, right?
Yeah. So starting in the new year, I'm going to be director of marketing for Discover Fort Smith. Yeah.
I wish I knew which one of these were hand clap.
Oh, no.
Is that like the Barry White?
I don't know what that was.
Like, oh, yeah.
But that was not it. We got to figure out the hand clap eventually so that we can. Oh, here we are. Oh, it's not working. Womp, womp, womp. That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy New Year's to your new job.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been so much fun.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So talking about some of the history before you came on, like it was mainly print, right? Like that's what they used to advertise. Because to my understanding, again, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of what the Visitors Bureau, like what they get their money from tourism or lodging taxes, right?
Yes, that's correct. So
the money comes in from lodging tax, and then they're responsible for bringing more people into the city, and that's why they get paid the tax, because they're helping bring in more tourists or even people to live here and call this home. So how were they doing that before? What was their marketing plan before?
I can't really speak to what was going on before because we had, Ashley is relatively new. So she's only been there. Gosh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think she started in September of not this year, but the year before.
Okay.
And then she brought me on in the very end of May of this year. So I'm not really fully aware of everything that was going on. I do know there were print ads. I do know there was print advertising happening, among other things, But yeah, we are moving into some digital space.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are moving into some, but also maintaining some of that print advertising. So, yeah.
Okay. And so now what is not necessarily the new going strategy that y'all are working on instead of doing what was before, I guess, if that makes sense, even though you don't know fully what was before, because you say you are diving into a lot more digital. What does that mean?
Well, what part of that means working with you, Joe?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah, we started the Discover Fort Smith podcast. I've got you running all over everywhere, getting video, capturing B-roll so we can use for digital ads. You're also working on some really great YouTube videos for us that showcase what Fort Smith has to offer. We've already got our, overall promo video done, which I love.
Yeah.
Yay, Joe. And then you did the 10 plus things to do in Fort Smith. I think right now you're working on one that is about the convention center and then lodging. And then we've got a bunch of other plans about different itineraries, couples trips, breweries, things like that in the works. So we're hitting leisure tourism and that meetings, conventions, events side of things as well. So our sales team will have some content to pull from there too. And my goal is just to really align our content so that, our branding is really clear. Our messaging is really strong. If somebody clicks on a digital ad that's about a couples getaway, and they end up on our Facebook, they're going to find stuff about, itineraries for couples. Or, if they click to our YouTube from that ad, they're going to find that couples getaway YouTube video right there,
Yeah.
And then maybe they click on our blog and there's a block. So I want to align our campaigns. I want to align our visuals. So that visually we're presenting a colorful and accurate picture of the city itself and the people who live here.
Yeah.
So
what a lot of people don't know though is yes, that's all for tourism, for bringing in tourists or, people who are from different states or even a different part of the world. But if a lot of people use those, a lot of locals can use those same itineraries to do stuff.
Oh yeah.
There are so many people. I'm tired of saying this. I'm also tired of.
I know what you're gonna say.
There's nothing to do. I'm just tired of saying it.
I know
because we talk about it so much.
Yes, we do.
Because we hear it so. But actually though, I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
People are there's nothing to do. And my new favorite thing is, go over to my Instagram account. I'm doing so much. I'm covering so many different things. So if I'm that busy, how is there nothing to do for you? Because I'm only filming public. It's not really private events. I'm filming things that people can go do, and I'm super busy shooting all that. And that's just the stuff with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's stuff to do for sure. And a lot of times what I'm finding out, I just got a comment today. I did behind the scenes of shooting the ice skating ring. Somebody was like, "Where's that at?" And so there is stuff to do. I think that people just aren't trained yet here to know where to go and how to find that information. I think the younger generation is pretty easy for them, but I think building up socials and things like that will only help train to go here, right? This is the place you go to if you want to figure out what to do. Or, I don't know, me and my wife got a babysitter on Friday night. I'm not saying this is actually real, but if we got a babysitter on Friday night, what do we want to go do?
Yeah.
What's some ideas? I don't know. Okay, let's look at what Discover says is happening this month. because they post that picture. Those pictures, I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the schedule. I don't know. Is that every month?
Yeah, we post it monthly. It's usually like a week before the new month starts.
Yeah, I love those.
We'll post a calendar of events. And of course, there's so much going on. We cannot cover everything in that little picture,
Yeah.
But we will link to our full calendar and we'll put a QR code on there. So if people want to print it out and put it on their storefront or put it as a grab and go in a coffee shop, like people can scan that QR code and get to the full calendar of events. But it's one of our most popular posts every month because people are clearly looking for stuff to do.
Yeah, the reason why I like it the most is because it's categorized correctly.
Yeah.
Like it has categories.
Yeah.
Each event says like family, or it says, I'm trying to remember the descriptors.
There's arts, there's family,
Yeah.
there's
fundraising.
nightlife.
Is it fundraising?
Charity.
Or charity. Yeah, charity. Yeah.
Historical.
Yes.
Stuff like
so
that.
when you look at it at a glance, even like now I know the colors. So I don't even have to
color-coded.
read. So yeah, each category is like color coded. So I'm like, okay, these are the ones I need to put on my schedule. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. I put them on my schedule and try to hit up some of those places.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised how much you can do for free around here.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Like you can do so much stuff just for free. I want to say even like that skating ring I went to, does that cost?
I think it's like $10.
Is it 10? Okay, it's 10 bucks.
Something. Oh,
Yeah.
don't quote me on that. Don't quote me. I think there is a fee.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
the skate rental.
And then if you do that in the afternoon, let's say it's getting darker, you can just go across the street, hang out at Creekmore,
Yes.
take
Do the little
photos,
train.
the train,
Do the little Christmas train.
Yep. So much fun.
It is.
Yeah,
so-
and I've seen I was over there filming a couple nights ago. No, last weekend. There were adults on the train.
Yeah.
Like just
I've been on the train.
yeah, they were just hanging.
I
No,
won't
no
lie.
kids or nothing. They're just them. They're on the
Yeah.
train going around.
Having a good old time.
I know.
Yeah, I've
it's a lot
definitely
of
been
fun.
there.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so next year, we already talked about some of the stuff that we've been doing right now. What's some of the stuff we're going to be doing next year?
Oh man, we're continuing the podcast. We've
Yep.
got some great guests lined up and some cool locations. We're going to be at the U.S. Marshals Museum. We're going to be, oh man, I'm totally blanking out right now. Where else are we going to be, Joe?
U.S. Marshals Museum. We're going to be at not RAM. We were just there. What is it called? Ake.
Oh yeah, we'll go to Ake. We'll go to ProPack maybe. I think.
Yeah, ProPack.
We might try to shoot in front of like a mural or something
Yeah,
like that.
so I'm about to say outside at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
So-
once it gets like the weather gets a little bit more consistent.
Museum of History, the
Yes.
Clayton House, like
so many places.
we're going to have some really great locations and also some great speakers. We'll have speakers from each of those places. Katie Gould from Fort Smith Coffee Company, who is just so awesome.
Yes.
She'll be on the show. Brandon Goldsmith, who does the Fort Smith International Film Festival in the Mid America Market, he's going to be on the show. And Ben from over at the Marshals Museum, he'll be talking with us. So that's super exciting. In the new year, of course, we're shooting a lot more YouTube videos.
So much. Yeah.
And then our socials, we're going to continue to just really, dive into those and vamp them up. Another shout out to Joanna Hernandez. I tell her every time, I'm like, I gave you a shout out on the podcast. I think this is like number 4 or 5. Shout out to Joe. She's just doing such a great job. And we're really strategizing with our content and planning out campaigns for next year, trying to think about what would be most helpful for people to have. I think we're going to do some stuff like, Fort Smith in a day for under $50. It's like free things to do in Fort Smith. So things like that. And then also seasonal itineraries and highlights and events. Really working on putting some reels out there that are really good quality content. And then
a lot of digital campaigns as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure I know a lot of people have already been saying those. Actually, literally even today, there was a guy, he was like, dude, I saw you on that one wheel chasing a horse at a fall festival. And I saw that shot on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool, Joe.
Like, oh, really? He's like, and
cool.
I know exactly what he's talking about. He's from the
too.
ad.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's really cool. So like, that's cool because a lot of times when you're working and you're doing a lot of content I know you guys are like a big like corporation, but a lot of times
really
like
small.
when you're doing this stuff for either big or small, it seems like the content has to go through so many different like approval processes before it even hits the internet. But a lot of the stuff we're doing is just like, it's still that high quality, like it came from a big corporate company, but like we're just able to greenlight it and like get it up for people to see like pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
So,
and next year I'm excited about some of the stuff we're going to do, some of the digital campaigns around, I already mentioned like couples getaway for, around Valentine's Day, of course, spring break, summer, fall, winter, like all those seasonal campaigns we're going to hit. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really awesome. And then also working with our sales team.
Yeah, I would love to hear some about them because I know we talk about them a little bit, but I don't really know a ton about what they do day to day.
Yeah, so our sales team is constantly working to bring events to Fort Smith because, as you mentioned before, we're funded by the lodging tax. We are technically city employees, but the city collects that tax and then they just pay our salaries through that tax and pay our budget through that tax. Oh, okay. So in order to meet our budget, it's important that we are bringing people in to stay for multiple nights, right? And so when you have conventions, when you have conferences, when you have big meetings that are 2, 3, 4 days, you're bringing in those large groups that come and they're staying and they're exploring the city. And they're feeding our economy. They're going to restaurants. They're going to our attractions. And it can really make an impact on the city's economy to have multiple of these a year, right? And so our sales team, they are constantly going out and getting leads. They're building relationships. They are bringing in this type of business from everything from, volleyball tournaments to cornhole conferences to, architect conferences and professional, conventions. They're out there doing that. And
I think that's super important to know because like earlier when you were talking about, all the content that we do now and then what we're doing next year, I could see someone may be taking that information and like, oh man, like our tax dollars that, we get from other people coming to the city are just going towards reels. But no, it's not. That's not the only marketing effort.
No.
It's like someone is also like individually contacting other people and reaching out saying, hey, we should do your event here. It's not just only online. It's trying to tackle it from every angle that it could be tackled within budget.
Yeah. And, along with that, our sales team and all of us over at the CBB, like it's our goal to have super positive, collaborative relationships with our hoteliers, our restaurateurs, our businesses here, because our job is to basically bring people here to get them to stay at these hotels, to get them to spend money at the restaurants, to get them to enjoy the bars, and to really feed our businesses. And that's the goal with the social is we're constantly trying to show here's what you can do on a Saturday, or here's what you can do for Christmas, or here's what you can do in the summer, and highlight the variety of options that are available here for a town or city of 90-ish thousand people. We do have a lot of variety. Yeah. We're not a huge city here, but there is a variety of things to do. So we're really trying to highlight that. So we see ourselves and we really want our partners in the community to see us as just that, as their partner.
Yeah. I think that's a big misconception that I've found going to these different businesses is like they don't understand that this service to them is free.
It is.
So like we come in and like we film, we do video, photo, and graphics is another thing. I know we've been talking a lot about like just photo, video, but graphics is another huge thing you guys do as well. So they don't understand that all that stuff is free for them. Like it doesn't cost them to have their event on the schedule, blah, blah, blah. That being said, I do understand the other side of, someone might be like a business owner may be listening to this like, oh, well, I'm going to request that you come to my location. It still has to fit within tourism. Like your space, your business has to be somewhere that a tourist can actually go to.
Exactly.
And so if you don't see me there, or if I'm not coming there, or if Joanna's not coming there or filming, or you're not on the list, it's just because it's not within like tourism.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so if it's a private space, I don't know, like a private event or a private business, it's not really helpful for us to advertise that using tourism dollars for tourism.
Yeah, that's true. And, on our website, you mentioned our website. I mean, we do have a listing that's completely free that you can just go to discoverfortsmith.com, click on member, and submit your own listing. You can submit photos, you can submit video, you can, if you're like a hotel, you can submit your amenities. Even if you're not, you can submit hours of operation, website, socials, Yelp, TripAdvisor, all that stuff. You can submit to our website, and it's totally free. And also our calendar of events too. Like I've mentioned this before, and it's like kind of a joke, but not really a joke, Joe. Okay. I want every event in Fort Smith to be on our website. And I know there's a lot of different events, calendars that people have to think about, but I want Discover Fort Smith to be at top of mind because we get so many hits every month on our calendar of events from tourists and residents who are just looking for stuff to do, and they don't have to filter by city like you do on Facebook. They're not going to get, other outside cities events on our website. It's just Fort Smith. So that's also free. And it is true. Like, we're not funded by resident tax dollars. We're not. We're, no taxes that, residents are paying or businesses are paying fund us. The visitors fund us by staying here, like through their Airbnb or through their hotel, their lodging tax. That's how we're funded. So it really is a free service to the businesses, but you're totally right. Like, we are a destination marketing organization. So we are marketing our city for conferences, conventions, meetings, and tourism. Mm-hmm. And so if something falls outside of that, we can't put our budget money towards it because we're not going to get that budget money back. Mm-hmm. Right. So, that's really what we do. And it is exciting to kind of partner with people like you and to have like Joanna on staff and just to get out and get to know business owners and people who are just really doing awesome things for the city and promote that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just really fun. It's really cool. I'm just like super enjoying it. I don't know. Yeah. Did I answer your question or did
Absolutely.
I just
no, I mean, I really didn't ask a question. It was really, I was like trying to clarify.
Yeah.
I was going to ask like, right. But yeah, you just clarified that.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is free for you. I mean, I know it's free from you. I'm not going to charge you to come in and video. A lot of them are like, oh, do I have to pay? No.
Yeah.
You're good.
Well, and like I, at one point was, calling, I think a bar or something because I saw this awesome event pop up and I was like, oh, this isn't on our calendar. I'm going to just call them up and be like, hey, we got this event calendar. It's totally free. And I called and they were immediately like, who are you with? No. And I was like, oh, wait. Like, I'm not selling you anything. I promise. But people tend to think like we're trying to sell something or it's a service they'll have to pay for. And it's just not the case. I mean, any business, bar, restaurant, attraction that hosts events in Fort Smith can post about those on our website for free. Any business that, a tourist would visit can submit their listing to our website, and it's free. We're not, some CVBs are managed by the Chamber of Commerce and they're set up in that way where it's like you pay, you're a member, all this stuff. And we don't operate that way. So yeah, there's no membership fee, nothing. So yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you, Joe. Thanks for
it.
having me.
Anything you want to tell the people where they can go? Again, most people watching this are locals. Just so to give you some context, Miss Tourism Girl.
Yeah, I mean, like, we love for locals to come to our socials. We love for locals to be on our website. We see you there. We see you.
Yeah.
We know you're coming. No, but just keep visiting. And if you're one of those people that questions, like, there's nothing to do here or what's going on this weekend, check out Discover Fort Smith. See what's going on this weekend. We're usually posting about it in our stories, on our wall, in our feed. Wall. Who says wall anymore? Like, I just showed my age.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, on the Facebook.
Yeah,
you know,
on MySpace.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, MySpace was awesome. I'm sorry, MySpace was awesome. But yeah, so check that out. And if there's anybody out there who's interested in being on the podcast, like if you have a story to tell about how you got to Fort Smith's impact on your life, owning a business in Fort Smith, etc., go to discoverfortsmith.com/podcast, fill out the form that says you're interested, and let us know that you're, kind of wanting to be on the podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things I want to say, but like, I think mainly I just really want the community to see us as a support and a partner and a collaborator and somebody who's here to promote really Fort Smith and to highlight everything we've got to offer in a way that benefits us as a city and pours into the city and economically and just by positive vibes, just like reinvigorating the love and the pride of the city.
Yes.
Because
good vibes only.
Good vibes only, right?
Okay, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Thanks, Joe.